He does not look at Marcus Thorne. Even now, with the entire board of directors and 3 stern-faced representatives from the Department of Defense staring at him, Elias Vance keeps his eyes fixed on a point just above Eleanor Croft's head. It is a water stain on the acoustic tile, shaped vaguely like an island he cannot name. He stands at the back of the boardroom, a ghost in grease-stained work clothes, his presence a silent, damning testimony. He does not need to speak. His stillness is louder than any accusation Marcus could ever shout. It all started with a scratch, a thin, silver wound on the side of a faded blue van. Stay with me to the end. It is a story about the marks we leave, and the ones that are left on us. Subscribe. Drop the word "stay" in the comments. The rain falls in sheets, blurring the world outside the windows of the black sedan. Eleanor Croft watches the wipers push the water away in frantic, rhythmic sweeps. Each sweep reveals the same scene, the sprawling campus of Croft Aeronautics, her father's legacy. Now hers to command. The glass and steel buildings gleam, wet and formidable. They feel alien to her, like a suit of armor she has not yet grown into. The parking garage is full, Miss Croft, her driver says, his voice a low hum against the drumming of the rain. An event for the new interns. Eleanor does not sigh, though she feels the impulse deep in her chest. A sigh is a concession. She has not made a concession in the 3 months since her father's funeral. My spot, then, her spot, the one right by the executive entrance, the one with the small brass plaque that reads CEO. It was her father's spot for 30 years. It is a small piece of territory, but it is hers. The sedan glides to a stop, but not at the curb. It stops short, blocked. In her spot sits a van. It is old, a relic of faded blue, the kind of vehicle that seems held together by stubbornness alone. It is not dirty, she notes. The windows are clean, the tires have deep tread, but it is battered. Dents and dings map its long history. A fine layer of metal dust coats the rear bumper. "Who is that?" she asks. The question is sharp, cold. Her driver consults a tablet. "It's registered to a contractor, ma'am. An Elias Vance. He's here to consult on the T-700 turbine rig." Marcus Thorne had warned her about Vance. "A relic, Eleanor, just like the old equipment he services," he had said over coffee that morning, his voice smooth and concerned. "Your father kept him on out of sentimentality. It's time to clean house, modernize, a clean break from the past. And now this relic is in her spot. A quiet act of defiance. A symbol of the old ways refusing to yield." The rain lets up for a moment, shifting from a downpour to a steady, insistent drizzle. "Wait here," she says. She does not wait for the driver to open her door. She pushes it open herself, the cool, damp air a shock against her skin. She walks toward the van, her heels clicking a sharp report on the wet asphalt. She does not look at the main entrance, does not care who might be watching from the floor to ceiling windows of the lobby. In her hand, the key to the sedan feels heavy and cold. It is a simple, jagged piece of metal. She stops beside the van's passenger side door. The blue paint is weathered, flaked away in places to reveal the grey primer beneath. She sees her own reflection, distorted and grim. For a count of 3, she does nothing. She simply stands there, the rain darkening the shoulders of her blazer. Then she presses the tip of the key against the metal. She draws a line. It is a long, deliberate scratch, starting from just behind the headlight and ending at the rear wheel well. The sound is ugly, a high metallic shriek that cuts through the gentle patter of the rain. A silver line now gleams against the faded blue. A wound. She feels a flare of something hot and ugly in her chest, a satisfaction that immediately curdles into shame. She pulls the key back and turns, walking back to her car without a second glance. She does not see the man watching from the third-floor window of the engineering wing. Elias Vance stands in the observation bay overlooking the parking lot. He holds a lukewarm cup of coffee in one hand. He saw the black sedan pull up. He saw her get out. He watched her walk to his van. He watched her press the key to the door. He heard the sound, even through the thick, soundproof glass. A phantom echo in his memory. He does not flinch. He does not curse. His expression does not change. He simply watches her walk away. Her back straight, her stride measured. His daughter Lily sits at a small table behind him, coloring in a book with a worn cover. She is 7 years old, a small, quiet creature with his same steady eyes. "Is it still raining, Daddy?" she asks without looking up. Elias turns from the window. He places himself between her and the view of the parking lot. "Yes, sweet pea," he says, his voice soft. "Still raining." He takes a sip of his coffee. It is bitter. He looks at the fresh silver line on his van. It is a message. He understands it perfectly. He does not go downstairs to confront her. He does not call security. He does not mention it to the project manager who comes to collect him. He finishes his coffee, throws the cup away, and takes his daughter's hand. He has work to do. The scratch is just a thing that happened, a piece of data to be filed away. The work is what matters. The work is always what matters. Eleanor cannot focus. She sits in her father's office, which is now her office. The vast mahogany desk is polished to a mirror sheen. The leather chair still smells faintly of his cigars, a scent she has not had the heart to scrub away. Spread before her are quarterly reports, market projections, personnel files, the language of her new life. But her mind is not on the numbers. It is in the parking lot, on a thin, silver line. She keeps seeing his face. After the incident, she had security pull the file for Elias Vance. The photo was 10 years old, a serious young man with tired eyes, but it was the man she saw at the window. She had glanced up just as she was getting back into her car, and he was there. Watching, he did not look angry. He did not look surprised. He just looked. His expression was one of calm, quiet observation, as if he were diagnosing a flaw in a piece of machinery. That look unnerves her more than any display of rage could. It was a look of profound disappointment. It made her feel small. A problem? Marcus Thorne stands in the doorway, holding 2 cups of coffee. He is handsome in a polished corporate way. His suit is impeccable. His smile is reassuring. He has been her rock for the last 3 months. The one person who seems to understand the immense pressure she is under. "Just a distraction," she says, pushing the files away. He sets a cup on her desk. "The Vance problem?" he asks, his tone casual. He settles into one of the visitors' chairs. "I heard he parked in your father's spot. Some people have no sense of decorum." Eleanor does not respond. She sips the coffee. "It is hot, strong. I've already started the paperwork to terminate his contract," Marcus continues, smoothly. "We can outsource the legacy maintenance. It'll be more efficient. A better line item on the budget." A clean break from the past, he had said. "No," Eleanor says. The word is out before she can think about it. Marcus raises an eyebrow. "Eleanor, the man is obsolete. His methods are outdated. Your father was loyal to a fault. The T-700 rig is still a critical testbed for the new Doody proposal," she says, her voice more firm now. She is reciting a fact, grounding herself in logic. "Mr. Vance is the only technician certified to maintain it to spec. We can get a new rig. It would take 6 months. The proposal is due in 2. She looks him in the eye. He stays. For now. Marcus's smile tightens for a fraction of a second. a flicker of something she cannot read. Then it is gone. Of course, Eleanor, you're the boss. He stands, just trying to clear the decks for you, to make things easier. After he leaves, the office feels silent and vast. She looks at the picture of her father on the credenza. He is smiling, his arm around a younger, happier version of herself. What would he have done? She knows the answer. He would have walked down to the parking lot, apologized, and offered to pay for the damage. He would have seen the man, not the symbol. The thought does not comfort her. It makes the shame burn brighter. The crisis comes 2 weeks later. An alarm, shrill and insistent, cuts through the low hum of the main testing facility. Red lights flash, painting the cavernous space in urgent, pulsing strokes. The T-700 turbine rig has gone dark. Eleanor stands on the observation deck, Marcus at her side. Below, engineers in white lab coats scurry around the massive, silent machine. It looks like a dissected jet engine, a tangled sculpture of pipes, wires, and gleaming metal. "What's the status?" she demands, her voice tight. "Complete system failure," Marcus says grimly. The primary bearings seized. It's cascaded through the whole assembly. It's a total loss. Panic, cold and sharp, lances through her. The Dodd proposal. "The engine core test is scheduled for next week. We'll have to postpone," Marcus says. He places a hand on her arm, a gesture meant to be calming. "I'll draft a letter to the Pentagon. We can explain the equipment failure. They'll understand." "No," she says, pulling her arm away. "A delay looks like incompetence. It's a weakness. Our competitors will pounce on it." Down on the floor, she sees George Findlay, her father's oldest friend and the head of engineering, shaking his head. He is a man of 70, with kind eyes and hands permanently stained with oil. "There might be one way," George says, his voice crackling over the intercom. He is looking up at her. "It's a long shot." "I'm listening," Eleanor says. "Get Elias Vance." Marcus scoffs. "George, the man is a glorified mechanic. This is a catastrophic systems failure. What can he possibly do?" "He knows this rig better than anyone," George insists. "He and William, they built half of it by hand. There are things about it, quirks, that aren't in any schematic." Eleanor looks from Marcus's dismissive face to George's earnest one. She remembers a quiet man watching her from a window, a man who absorbed an insult without a word. "Get him," she says. Elias arrives within the hour. His blue van pulls into a visitor spot. The silver scratch is still there. He did not get it repaired. It is a pale, ugly scar that he seems to have completely ignored. He is not alone. Lily is with him, holding his hand. She carries her coloring book and a small bag of crayons. He does not greet Eleanor or Marcus. He walks straight to George Findlay, and the two men speak in low tones, their heads bent over a set of old, rolled-up blueprints. Lily sits on a workbench, out of the way, and opens her book. For 3 hours, Elias works. He moves with a quiet, unhurried grace. He does not use power tools. He uses hand tools, wrenches and calipers, and micrometers that he pulls from a worn leather roll. He listens to the machine, placing his hand against the cold metal casing, his eyes closed in concentration. He is not repairing it. He is communing with it. Eleanor watches the entire time. Marcus left after the first hour, muttering about a pointless exercise. But she stays. She is mesmerized by the economy of his movements, the absolute focus. He is a craftsman in a world of technicians. At one point, she walks over to the workbench where Lily is sitting. The girl is coloring a picture of a bird with bright blue wings. "That's a beautiful drawing," Eleanor says softly. Lily looks up. Her eyes are large and serious. "It's a nightingale," she says. "Daddy told me about them. They sing when it's dark." Eleanor smiles. Your father is a very smart man. He can fix anything, Lily says with the simple, absolute faith of a child. He fixed my music box. It was broken, and it made a sad sound. She pauses, choosing a yellow crayon. He says broken things are just sad. They aren't bad, they just need someone to be patient with them. The words land like pebbles dropped into a still pool. Eleanor looks from the child's innocent face to the man working patiently on the massive, broken machine. She looks at the scratch on his van, visible through the large bay doors. A broken thing. Just sad, not bad. A knot of shame tightens in her stomach. It is a physical, painful thing. An hour later, a low hum fills the facility. It grows into a steady, powerful whine. The lights on the T-700's control panel blink from red to green, one by one. Elias wipes his hands on a clean rag. He says nothing. He simply nods once to George Findlay. He walks over to the control panel and makes a small adjustment to a dial that is not on any of the official schematics. "There's a bypass I installed with your father years ago," he says, his voice quiet, directed at George but loud enough for Eleanor to hear. The main bearings are still shot. This reroutes the lubricant flow through the auxiliary system. It will hold for the test, but you'll need to replace the entire bearing assembly after. He points to a line item on the blueprint. Use the titanium ceramic ones, not the cheaper steel ones Marcus ordered last quarter. They're the reason it failed. He says it as a simple statement of fact. No accusation. No "I told you so." He then packs his tools, takes Lily's hand, and walks toward the exit. He does not ask for payment. He does not look at Eleanor. "Mr. Vance," she calls out. He stops, but he does not turn around. "Thank you," she says. The words feel small, inadequate. He hesitates for a moment. "Your father was a good man," he says, his back still to her. "He listened to his engineers." Then he and his daughter are gone. The seed of doubt planted by his quiet reaction in the parking lot begins to sprout. That night, Eleanor goes to the company archives. It is a cold, climate-controlled room in the basement, smelling of old paper and dust. She searches for the original design files for the T-700 rig. She finds a folder labeled Project Nightingale. It is her father's handwriting. Inside are dozens of hand-drawn schematics. The designs are elegant, innovative. The notes in the margins are a conversation in two different scripts. Her father's familiar, sprawling signature, and a neat, precise block lettering she does not recognize. She finds a signature at the bottom of the core design. W. Croft and E. Vance. Elias Vance was not a contractor. He was a co-designer. She keeps digging. She finds personnel files, project budgets, performance reviews. Elias Vance was a senior design engineer, one of her father's most promising talents. He resigned abruptly 10 years ago. The reason listed: personal. The same year, Marcus Thorne was promoted to vice president of a new division, using a revolutionary engine cycle design that he called the Thorne cycle. It made his career. It was the foundation of the company's current success. Eleanor pulls the patent file for the Thorne cycle. The technical drawings are complex, but the underlying principles, they are identical to the sketches in the Project Nightingale folder. The one signed by her father and Elias Vance. The cold in the room seeps into her bones. The next day, she invites George Findlay for lunch. Not in the executive dining room, but at a small, greasy diner near the old airfield, a place her father used to love. "You're asking about Elias," George says, after they order. He stirs his coffee, his gaze distant. "Tell me about him, George. The truth." George is quiet for a long time. "Your father called him the best pure engineer he ever met. Said he had a feel for machines. a gift. They were more than colleagues. They were friends. Why did he leave? George sighs. He looks old and tired. Marcus Thorne. Marcus was ambitious. He saw the genius in Elias's work on the Nightingale Corps. He stole it, passed it off as his own. William, your father, he found out too late. The patents were already filed. The PR machine was already rolling. Marcus threatened to ruin Elias, to blacklist him. Elias had a wife who was sick at the time, and a new baby. He couldn't afford a fight. So he walked away. My father just let it happen? The question is a pained whisper. It was his greatest regret, George says, his voice soft. He tried to make it right, but Marcus had him boxed in, tied it all up in legal threats. So William did the only thing he could. He kept Elias on as a permanent consultant, paid him triple the normal rate out of a discretionary fund. It was his way of atoning. He was waiting for the right time to expose Marcus, but his heart gave out before he could. Eleanor feels sick. The man she had dismissed, insulted, whose property she had vandalized, he was the quiet genius behind her company's success, the victim of a profound injustice she had nearly perpetuated. Where can I find him? She asks. George gives her the address of a small hangar at the local airfield. He restores vintage aircraft now. It's quiet work, honest work. She drives there herself. She does not take the sedan. She takes her own car, a simple, anonymous coupe. The hangar is at the far end of the airfield. The big doors are open, and the afternoon sun streams in. She parks a short distance away and watches. Inside, a half-restored Cessna sits in the center of the vast space. Elias Vance is on a ladder, meticulously polishing a section of the aluminum fuselage. He moves with the same focused grace she saw in the test facility. Lily is on a blanket on the wing of the plane, reading a book. The scene is peaceful, a self-contained world of quiet competence and gentle love. It is everything her own life is not. She watches for nearly an hour as he works. She sees the bond between father and daughter, the easy way he stops to answer a question, the way he lifts her up to see the cockpit. This is his life, the one he chose to protect. She understands now why he did not react when she keyed his van. It was not weakness, it was strength. His peace is not something an angry woman with a car key can disturb. It is rooted in something far deeper. She drives back to her office. She knows what she has to do. She remembers something George said about her father. He kept everything. The real stuff, anyway. In his office, she looks at the large oil painting behind his desk. A landscape of the coast. She swings it aside. A wall safe. She tries his birthday, her birthday, the company's founding date. Nothing. Then she remembers what George had said about the safe's combination. The date he first flew Nightingale. She finds the date in the project file. The heavy door swings open. Inside, there is only one thing. A thick, leather-bound logbook. She takes it to the desk and opens it. Her father's handwriting fills the pages. It is a private journal, a record of his work, his hopes, his regrets. She finds the entries from 10 years ago. It is all there, the whole sordid story. Marcus presented Eli's work as his own today. The board was ecstatic. I saw the look on Eli's face. He knows. And he knows I know. I have never felt such a coward. Eli resigned. He told me he couldn't work in a place where a man like Thorne could thrive. He's right. I've built a house for vipers. I've lost a friend. For what? A stock price bump? God forgive me. Then she finds a more recent entry, dated just a month before he died. Spoke to Admiral Hayes today. He told me about Eli's contract work. A transport mission in Kandahar. His team was pinned down. Comms were out. Eli drove his own van, the old blue one, into the hot zone, under fire, twice, to ferry the wounded out. He saved 6 men. Hayes is recommending him for a citation. That blue van, it carried more honor in its chassis than most men carry in their souls. And I let a thief like Marcus drive its owner out of my company. I have to make it right. The dude proposal is the key. The Nightingale Corps is Eli's. The world is going to know it. Eleanor closes the book. The tears she has held back for 3 months finally fall. They are not tears of grief for her father, but tears of shame for herself. That evening, she drives back to the hangar. Rain is falling again, a gentle cleansing sound on the metal roof. Elias is standing in the open doorway, watching the storm. He does not seem surprised to see her. She gets out of her car and walks toward him. She stops a few feet away, the rain dripping from her hair. She holds the logbook. "I know," she says. Her voice is hoarse. "I read my father's journal. I know everything." He just nods, his gaze steady. He looks at the logbook in her hands, then back at her face. "Why?" she asks, the single word a universe of questions. "Why didn't you say anything? When I fired you in my mind, the van. Why did you just let me be that person?" He is silent for a long count. The only sound is the rain. "Because you were grieving," he says finally. His voice is not accusatory. It is gentle. "You were seeing the world through your father's empty chair. And you were listening to Marcus Thorne. If I had defended myself, I would have just been another disgruntled employee with a story. You wouldn't have believed me. You couldn't have. You had to find the truth yourself. Your father would have wanted you to be the kind of leader who seeks the truth, not just the kind who is told it." A small figure appears in the hangar behind him, Lily, rubbing sleep from her eyes. She sees Eleanor standing in the rain, sees the tears on her face. She walks to Eleanor, takes her by the hand with a surprising strength, and gently pulls her into the dry warmth of the hangar. "You're getting wet," she says, with simple, profound concern. Daddy makes hot chocolate when it rains. The simple act of kindness shatters the last of Eleanor's composure. She allows the small child to lead her to a worn armchair near a workbench. Elias watches them, and for the first time, she sees a flicker of something in his eyes. Not pity, not triumph. Understanding, the duty presentation is in 3 days. They work side by side in the hangar. It becomes their command center. Eleanor brings a team, laptops, and secure satellite uplinks. Elias brings his tools, his blueprints, and his deep, intuitive knowledge of the machine. A new dynamic forms. A quiet partnership built on mutual respect. He speaks. She listens. She asks. He explains. They do not speak of the past. They focus only on the work. The prototype engine, the true Nightingale core, is mounted on a test stand in the hangar. It is Elias's masterpiece. For 10 years he has been refining it in his spare time. It is smaller, more efficient, and more powerful than the version Marcus stole. They work for 72 hours straight, fueled by coffee and a shared, unspoken purpose. Lily becomes the hangar's mascot, bringing them sandwiches and making sure they drink water. On the final day, Eleanor looks at the finished presentation. It is perfect. It is factual, compelling, and undeniable, and it is built around the truth. "Are you ready?" she asks him. Elias looks at the engine, his engine, gleaming under the hangar lights. "It's time," he says. The boardroom is cold, silent, and intimidating. The long table is a polished battlefield. Marcus Thorne is at one end, looking smug and confident. He has his own presentation, full of glossy charts based on his stolen, inferior design. Eleanor takes her place at the head of the table, her father's place. Elias does not sit. He stands against the back wall, near the doors, his arms crossed. He is a silent observer, a guardian. The Doddy delegation enters, 3 people in severe dark suits, and a man in the uniform of a Navy admiral. He is tall, with a weathered face and eyes that have seen everything. Eleanor's heart hammers in her chest. It is Admiral Hayes. The meeting begins. Marcus goes first. His presentation is slick, full of corporate jargon and empty promises. The Admiral looks bored. Then it is Eleanor's turn. She stands. She does not use a slideshow. She uses her father's logbook and the original schematics. She tells a story, the story of Project Nightingale, the story of a brilliant young engineer, a stolen design, and a father's regret. She does not name Marcus. Not at first. She simply lays out the facts, the dates, the evidence. The truth has its own weight. When she gets to the core design, Marcus interrupts, laughing. This is a touching story. Eleanor, a fantasy. But the Thorne cycle is my work. The patents prove it. Patents can be based on fraudulent claims, Eleanor says, her voice steady. The true design is not the Thorne cycle. It is the Nightingale core. And its designer is in this room. She gestures to the back of the room. All eyes turn to Elias. He does not look at Marcus Thorne. He meets the Admiral's gaze. Admiral Hayes squints, leaning forward. A slow shock of recognition dawns on his face. "Vance?" the Admiral says, his voice a low boom that fills the room. "Elias Vance?" He stands up. He walks to the back of the room and stands in front of Elias. The room is utterly silent. "I'll be damned," the Admiral says. "I know this man." He turns to face the stunned boardroom. This man and his beat-up blue van pulled 6 of my SEALs out of the Kandahar Valley under heavy fire. The comms were down. The evac chopper was hit. We were blind. He was a civilian contractor working on our generators. He drove into hell itself to save my men. He asked for nothing in return. The Admiral puts a hand on Elias's shoulder. "I have been trying to award this man the Distinguished Public Service Award for 2 years, and he has respectfully declined every time." He looks Elias in the eye. If Elias Vance says this is his engine, then this is his engine. I would trust this man's integrity with the lives of my sailors. I sure as hell will trust him with a procurement contract. The vanquishing is swift and total. The Admiral's words are a judgment from which there is no appeal. Marcus Thorne's face is a mask of disbelief, then pale, sweating fear. The contract is theirs. An investigation is launched. Security quietly escorts a sputtering, defeated Marcus from the room. After the delegation leaves, the boardroom is quiet. Eleanor and Elias are alone. They walk together through the silent, empty building, their footsteps echoing. They do not speak. There is nothing left to say. In the parking garage, they stop beside his van. The silver scratch is still there, a pale scar in the dim light. It seems like a relic from another lifetime. "What will you do now?" she asks. "Go home," he says. "Lily has a spelling test tomorrow. Then I'll finish rebuilding that Cessna." He is not asking for his old job back. He is not asking for anything. He is returning to his life, his peace. "Don't," she says. He turns to her. "I'm shutting down the old R&D campus," she says, the decision forming as she speaks it. "I'm building a new one. A proper one. An advanced propulsion laboratory. Out by the airfield. I want it to have the soul of a workshop, not a boardroom." She looks at him, her gaze direct. "Honest, I'd like you to design it. And to run it." She is not asking him to come to her world. She is offering to move her world to his. He looks at her for a long, unblinking moment. He sees the truth in her eyes, the respect, the atonement. He gives a single, slow nod. From her briefcase, she pulls a cardboard tube. She hands it to him. He opens it. It is the original, hand-drawn schematic for the Nightingale Corps. Framed at the bottom, next to his signature and her father's, she has added a small, neat inscription. For the patient man, E.C. It is not a gift of money. It is a gift of history, of legacy, of truth restored. 6 months pass. The new Croft Advanced Propulsion Laboratory stands near the edge of the airfield. It is a building of glass, steel, and reclaimed wood. It is filled with light and the low hum of creation. It has the soul of a workshop. On the tarmac, a sleek test jet taxis to a stop, its new engine whining down. The test was a perfect success. The Nightingale Corps is a triumph. Elias, Eleanor, and Lily stand together. Watching, Lily is no longer a small child hiding in the background. She is a happy, confident girl, holding Eleanor's hand as tightly as she holds her father's. The sun is setting, painting the clouds in shades of orange and purple. The air is cool and smells of jet fuel and cut grass. They stand in the quiet, a comfortable silence between them. They are a team. A family of 3, forged in a crucible of lies and brought together by the truth. Elias looks at Eleanor. The lines of stress are gone from her face. She looks younger, more at peace. She catches his eye and gives him a small, genuine smile. He does not say, "I love you." She does not say, "I love you too." Words are not necessary. Their shared work, their quiet understanding, their mutual respect, it is all there in the space between them. He reaches over, his knuckles gently brushing her cheek as he tucks a stray strand of hair behind her ear. The touch is brief, electric, a promise. They turn back to watch the sky, the last light of day fading into a deep, hopeful twilight. They stand close, not touching, but connected. The future is unwritten, but for the first time, it feels limitless. It begins here, in the stillness, in the quiet, earned peace.